So first up, my name is Lars. I'm founder of Maatje, a Dutch digital agency based in Rotterdam. If I'm looking tired, I have two children. One of them is 5 months. I'm not sure if anybody in the audience has children, but you will probably relate to that. So we'll dig into some basic stuff, and hopefully at the end, you all know more about AI in PPC than just use ChatGPT. I hope to inspire you to use AI for your own benefits. And if everything goes well, in the end, you will get better results if you start using the tools that I'm going to mention today. So, AI, I think that's like the word that is being most heard today at the conference. It is dominating the future of PPC. And if you think about it, the fact that we are running AI-powered campaigns with PMax, we have the ability to optimize a product feed based on AI with feed gen, and then bid on predictive conversions based on AI with Vertex or Soteria. It's mind blowing actually, and these things weren't possible like 3 or 4 years ago. So we all know the updates that Google is giving us regarding AI with the AI overview in the search results and the ads that are being placed in between them. I actually just saw today a post of somebody who saw the AI overview not being on the top of the SERP, but at the bottom, which was new for me. Obviously, the possibility to edit your images in the Google Ads interface itself, so you don't have to use a separate tool or an AI tool like Midjourney, for example. And obviously, the product studio feature in Google Ads. Has anybody already used this feature? Some bit. Was you the guy who said? Ooh. Oh, sometimes. Okay. What was your feeling about it? Okay, not so good. Or? Not so quality. Okay. The main problem I'm having is the fact that you are able to use it to optimize your images, but at this moment you have to use it one product at a time. So there's not like a bulk feature in it at this moment. So the funny thing is, I asked on my Twitter feed, and this is from April 2024. So forgive me for not having the relevant data at this moment. But everybody keeps talking about AI in our business, but it actually seems that hardly anybody is actually using it. So I asked people, how are you using it? And I'm not sure, does anybody in the audience know Mike Rhodes from the PMax trip? Yeah, of course, great. I was at a talk of him in June, and he was like, AI is like teenage sex. Everybody is talking about it, but nobody is actually really doing it. And which is kind of funny, if you look at the answers that the people has given me, and it was around 75 to 80 answers that I got, you see that the majority of the people, almost 75%, is using AI for ad copy IDs. Then a small amount, I think it was around 20%, is actually using AI for campaign IDs. Then you have data analysis and banner creation, and that's it. So today, as Marty already mentioned, I'm going to split my talk up in two halves. Start with what I think is the basic use of AI, and then we get a little bit advanced later on. So the basic use of AI is get ChatGPT to do your campaign targeting, right? This is like really easy. Just go to ChatGPT, give it a prompt, and the system will come up with ideas about demographic information, behavioral, technical, pain points, stuff like that. Really easy and nothing fancy. The funny thing about this one is also, and this is one a picture I stole from Frederick Verleijs. I'm not sure. Frederick Verleijs, does that ring a bell? Yeah, okay. If not, go search him up. He actually is using ChatGPT to talk about his clients. And here he's asking, okay, what characteristics or attributes of a hotel would a budget-conscious traveler care about? And then the system comes up with all those kind of things. And he's putting those answers in like a custom intent audience, and the keywords that ChatGPT is giving in a custom intent audience for like a video campaign or a display campaign and stuff like that. Really, yeah, handy actually. But then again, all these stuff, I think it's better to do it with a custom GPT. So if you are familiar with ChatGPT, you are probably familiar with custom GPTs as well. There are great GPTs out there for campaign IDs or ad copy and stuff like that. Is anybody in the audience working at an agency? Okay, are you using custom GPTs as well? Yeah, for each client a separate GPT perhaps, or A little, okay. It's actually something to look into. You know, for every client that you have, make your own GPT with the tone of voice of that client, all the ad copy in the past or the data from the past, just to see what ChatGPT could do with that. So another example of a basic use of AI is get ChatGPT to do your ad copy. And the same applies with the campaign IDs that I showed earlier. Give it a prompt and it will come up with some ad copy IDs. Again, I recommend to use a custom GPT for that. Okay, next up. So you can ask ChatGPT for your ad copy, but you could do it a little bit more sophisticated as well with the connection between ChatGPT API and the spreadsheets function, in which in column A you put in some information, like the keywords, for example, and in column B you put in a prompt and the system will come up with your ad copy in your spreadsheet right away. And you could upload that to the AdWords editor, for example. And this is an example video. Sorry for the Dutch keywords and ad copy that you're seeing right here, but this is an example video of how that is working. So we fill in the keyword right here. And as you can see, it's already loading in column F with ad copy that is matching that keyword. So you could automate this with the ChatGPT for spreadsheet function. So another basic use of AI is the data analysis with ChatGPT, and I've got two use cases which I'm going to show you. The first one is from a client of us. It's a Maritiem Museum. It's a museum in the Netherlands, and they actually forgot to mention that they were running campaigns on TV and radio. So they were running those campaigns for like a month or 2 months, I'm not sure. And then like 3 months later, they come up to me, hey Lars, we've been running campaigns on TV and on the radio. We want to know if that worked out. Could you tell us? And I was like, why didn't you tell me before, you know? So what did we do? We actually took all the data out of the Google Ads system, the GA4 system, and the Search Console data. Of course, we looked at branded traffic, because in our opinion, it was, okay, if anybody is listening to a TV commercial or a radio commercial about the museum, what will they do afterwards? Perhaps search on the name of the museum. So that was like the theory that we had. And we put all the data into ChatGPT and we asked the system, okay, this is like the broadcast schedule. So these were the moments that our client was advertising on the TV or on the radio. And these are the numbers with direct traffic or branded search traffic. And could you see, like, is there a connection between when the ads were being shown and when there was an uplift in the direct traffic? And as you can see in the results, well, you probably know the metrics, but it's in Dutch in the left, so I will translate it for you. When there was no commercial in place, the average amount of users was around 344. And when there was any kind of commercial in place, whether it was TV or radio, it was 974. The average amount of conversions when there was no commercial in place was 3.2. With the commercial, it was 36.0. And the average CTR on the branded ad copy and on the branded organic results had an uplift from 14.25% to 25.33%. So with ChatGPT, we were able, with the information that we had and the own data that we had, to make a solid conclusion about whether or not the advertisement on radio and TV was working out for our clients. And again, I think this is like basic use of ChatGPT. So the second example that I want to show you is about another client who was selling mosquito nets. And we actually had like a really hard and good discussion with the client, because they were like, no, we're not selling mosquito nets. We are selling room decoration. And to be honest, the mosquito nets were around 100, 150 euro each. And I was like, okay, you could see it as room decoration, but people are still searching for a mosquito net in order to get your product. But they were really convinced, no, it has nothing to do with mosquitoes. We are selling room decoration. So what did we do? We actually exported all the website orders for the last 12 months. And with the ChatGPT Advanced Data Analysis, we were able to rewrite that document with an average order value per day. And we actually combined that data with the temperature for each day in the Netherlands for that last 12 months again. And then ChatGPT made up the comparison. So that made us this sheet. This is good for everybody who wanted to make a picture. There it is again. So the blue line is the temperature, and the red line are the orders per day. Now, we all could draw our own conclusion based on that, but I really wanted like a theoretical, theoretical argument about my statement, which was the temperature of the day and the moisture of the day really has impact on the amount of sales that we are doing. So I asked ChatGPT, could you come up with, is there like a correlation between the two? Then ChatGPT came up with the Pearson correlation theory. I never heard of it before, but apparently it's there. And it came up with a conclusion saying, okay, your score is 0.721, and a value close to 1 indicates a strong positive correlation, and a value close to -1 indicates that there is no correlation. So with 0.7 points is actually a strong correlation between the two. Knowing my customer, I knew this isn't enough to convince him. So I asked ChatGPT again, okay, could you do like another theoretical investigation about whether there is a correlation? And then it came up with like the Spearman correlation. And again, we had a score of 0.775, and it indicates a strong relation between the two variables. Based on this information, we actually convinced the clients, you know, I know that you are looking at this room decoration, but the data really shows us that there's a correlation between the temperature of the day and the amount of sales that we are doing. So we need to adjust our campaign structure based on that. And we need to adjust our campaign bidding based on that. So what we did is we actually built a script, a Google Ads script, completely done with AI. And it used the Open Weather API to gather in the, how do you say it, the estimated volume of the next 7 days and the estimated moisture of the next 7 days for the specific countries that we were running campaigns in. And based on that, it let us change our bidding strategy and campaigns putting on and off in the Google Ads interface. So as soon as the Open Weather API tells us it's a good day to do some sales, we will uplift the amount of campaigns that we are running and adjust the ROAS targets that we want to have in our campaigns. And as soon as the system tells us, okay, based on your data, you need like high temperatures to do a lot of sales. The forecast is low temperatures, so we will downgrade the budgets that we are doing and adjust the ROAS targets based on that. We actually saved over 30 manual hours a year doing that. And the amount that we did save was put into media spend. And that media spend grew over 20,000 revenue a year, which is actually all done with AI and the data that we had. So again, this is, in my opinion, basic use of the data possibilities that we have in ChatGPT. So the script that we use for this one was built with ChatGPT. And I'm not sure, has anybody already been building an own Google Ads script before? Okay, also with ChatGPT or? Okay, I saw you raise your hand as well. With ChatGPT? Okay, did that work out easy for you or? Okay, the script that I was mentioning before was built with ChatGPT, and it did actually give some errors. The funny thing is you could just copy paste that error that Google is showing you, put it back into ChatGPT and let it optimize it themselves. But I ran across another tool. It's called cursor.com. Not sure if anybody's familiar with it. It's like a really good tool to build your own scripting. And it's way better than ChatGPT actually is around coding. And what is really nice about this one is you could build your own library with scripts that are already working and that you are happy with. And then as soon as you want to build a new script, Cursor will look at the data that it already has and the library that is already in place. So the new script will have less mistakes than if you start like all over again. So if you're really into scripting, I really suggest to have a look at cursor.com. So before we go advance, I want to let you know why I think it is really important to have the tracking in place. Because AI can work really good in PPC, but it works better when you have right data. So we are living in the era of algorithms, but the input that we are giving, the data, is really crucial. You know, grab in is grab out. That makes sense. So how can we outsmart the algorithm? And I think that measurement is a must. We need to measure as much as possible. If you are into lead gen, we don't want to measure clicks. We don't want to measure leads, where actually a lot of people are already stopping with tracking. No, we want to measure clients. Because if you get 100 leads with one client, if you are optimizing leads, if you are tracking the leads, then the algorithm will continue to give you this amount of leads, while we already know that only 1% is converting. If you could shoot back the amount of clients coming out of those leads to Google, in the end we could say, okay, optimize for clients instead of leads. So this is really important. And we do not only want to do that in Google Ads, I think you want to do that in GA4 as well. But it's more difficult in GA4 because of some limitations that we have. What could you do? You could have a look at the client ID, which is like user ID available in the GA4 reporting interface. And you could enrich your CRM data with that information. So as soon as somebody fills in a form on your website, you are able to shoot the client ID from Google Analytics with that information in your CRM. And as soon as you update that lead in your CRM to like a qualified lead or a client, you could push that information back to GA4. One thing which is really important, I think, no, I don't have it on the slide. This in GA4 at this moment, it only works when your window from lead to client is within the 72 hours. So if you have a long sales cycle, this is like difficult, practical, impossible actually. So as long as we're on GA4, I want to show you another thing, and that's annotation. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many people have some experience with Google Analytics, but have everybody worked with Universal Analytics as well? Okay. Who in here likes the transmission from Universal Analytics to GA4? Be honest. Nobody. Okay. I really miss the annotations. And then I was at a conference, and I see Miroslav, you're in the audience as well. I think you know the guy who mentioned it as well. This was really handy, you know, when you make some changes in a campaign or a website was offline, just go to Google Analytics, make an annotation, and you could see that like years back. You can do that in GA4 as well. So what you could do, you could make an event, use the Google Analytics event builder, and you can send that data into GA4. Then go to Looker Studio, make a dashboard, and here we'll see sessions and views. And you could connect your spreadsheet with your annotations like this, in this example. Another option, of course, which is actually more easier, simply just create a spreadsheet and connect it to your dashboard. So credits to everybody who deserves the credits. This is not my, how do you say it? Like brain fart? No, this came from Matteo Zambon. He came up with this solution at Super Week. So if you are a fan of annotations in Universal Analytics, follow this guy. So back to the AI stuff and to some advanced examples. The first one is the Google Vision API, automated with Python and Gemini. It's not really PPC focused, it's SEO focused, but it's a really nice example. With the Vision API, you can upload an image, and then the system will tell you what's on the image. So in this example, with this image, it is showing us a lot of like labels. You are seeing hardwood, building material, a room art pattern, and we are seeing carpet with like a 70% recognition. Based on this information, what you can do is adjust the images with Gemini, for example, in order to get the percentage of what you really want Google to how do you say it? This is like an image of a carpet. So what I want is that the percent for carpet is not 70%. No, I want it to be at least 90% or 95% or even possible 100%. What we've seen with the clients where we tested this is that where we did this and the percentage for the right label went up, we saw an increase in the positions in the Google Images SERPs, which gained more traffic, more conversions, etc. So this is like a really nice example of how you could use AI, and in this case the Vision API as well, in order to get results for your clients. Another advanced use of AI is AI agents. Has anybody has some experience with AI agents? Marty, you can't show your hands up. Okay, not yet. Great. So this is really like one of the next big things. And Google recently launched Google Agent Space. If you haven't heard of it, Google Agent Space, go Google it. There's like a complete standalone website about Google Agent Space. You could sign up for early access. But you could like connect different agents, and each agent is doing like a separate task, and you could connect those agents with each other. So what we are trying to build right now, for example, and here's a screenshot of it. We have an AI agent connected to the Google Ads API to retrieve the data from different accounts for like the last 7 days or 30 days or whatsoever. Then we have another agent who is analyzing that data. And then we have another agent who is giving us advice based on the analysis of the data. And then we have another agent shooting in like a summary of what the previous agents has done and put it in our internal communication. So as soon as a colleague comes into the office on Monday morning, for each client that he's managing, he has like several messages from from AI agents with basic information about the accounts that he is managing and how it is going. And next step could be, but that's a little bit tricky in my opinion. Next step could be that we have another agent saying, okay, this is what's being advised, implement it, you know? So you can really automate a lot of stuff with this. This is something that it looks a little bit like the operating function in ChatGPT. But yeah, again, you really need to look into this. Next up is Vertex AI, and I've got a lot of examples with Vertex AI. It's also something which is in the Google Cloud environment. Of course, you need to enable the API in your Google Cloud interface, and you can use Vertex AI for different stuff. So I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with VGen already. Is there somebody running Google Shopping ads? You're like the only one. With Google Shopping ads, you need a product feed, and basically a little bit black-white, but the better your product feed is, the better the possible outcome of your Google Shopping campaigns could be. And VGen is a tool which uses Google Cloud's large language models to improve your product titles or give it a better description, fill missing attributes in your feed, and based on that information, it comes up with like a more complete or a better feed, which then you can use for your Google Shopping campaigns. So again, this is all only done with AI. Next up is Adios, which is an open source solution. You need a Google Ads API for this one. As far as I know, you can only request an API if you have an MCC, but not 100% sure on that one. But what this does, you have the spreadsheet, and you can download the spreadsheet from the GitHub from Google's official GitHub. You fill in your API key, you fill in your account ID of the client that where you want to use Adios, and what it does, it creates like images that the system will use as an image extension. Now, I'm not sure if the impact of image extensions is really that big as Google is saying it is, but if this is possible, you can use it even further along as well. So generate the images, not activate it as an image extension, no. Use the images for your shopping feed, for example. So we have VGen to optimize all the text elements in my shopping feed, and you can use Adios to optimize your images in your shopping feed, for example. And this is all just to get inspired about the possibilities of AI in your PPC campaigns. Next up is the text sentiment analysis. Miroslav is in the audience as well. He knows way more about this than I do, because I actually stole this idea from him. So if you have questions about this one, go to Miroslav. But what it does, you can upload your data set, you train your data set, and then the system could tell you, hey, this is your ad copy, but we think this has a positive or negative sentiment. And my theory about this one is, if the Google system is saying, hey, this ad copy of this text has like a negative sentiment or a positive sentiment, what is the possibility that the Google Ads auction thinks the same? And based on that, maybe adjust your quality score, for example. So this is like a really fun way to see whether or not the Google system, how it is looking at your data, and maybe you can run like a test where you're saying, okay, if the text sentiment analysis for my ad copy or for my copy on the website is negative, then automatically adjust it, test it again, and as soon as it's positive, then we put it live to see what the results are. And next up, and I think this is one of the last examples that I'm having at this moment, is the predictive conversion scoring. Is anybody here working in fashion or working for clients in fashion? Okay, so in fashion you have like a lot of returns. You know, when you're shopping at a fashion web shop, you order 4 pants with 4 different sizes. You keep one, you return 3. So of course you are able to upload your returns to the Google Ads interface so that the system could adjust like the real amount of conversion and the conversion value. But if the returns are only getting in like 30 or maybe even 60 days after the conversion took place, then the smart bidding algorithm, all that time they were thinking, hey, we had 4 pens being sold. Well, it was actually 1 pen that was being sold. So with Vertex AI, you are able to build a system where this is being predicted. So as soon as somebody is doing a search, then the system is already thinking, okay, this user with this search that he's doing and this ad copy that he clicked on, there is a high possibility that like 80% of the products are being returned. So we will lower our price bidding on this auction. And if the system thinks, hey, this will probably generate a lot of sales with no returns, it can increase the auction. So this is really nice. And you can use it in your lead campaigns as well. If you're running campaigns for lead generation, for example, for B2B, where you can connect the CRM data with your Google Ads data and let the system come up with like, hey, we have 100 leads, and based on the information that we are seeing, these are the amount of leads that will probably have a high conversion rate to become a client. And based on that, you can shoot that information back to Google Ads. So it's OCT on steroids, offline conversion tracking, but way better. Why do I think that we really need to look into these kind of options? It's basically generative AI is relatively new. You know, this is something from the last months or years. But the predictive AI, the predictive AI is something which they are using for years now, with smart shopping, your predictive audiences in GA4, for example. So this is something that Google already is really experienced about, and we could really leverage that in our PPC campaigns. So where do we start? Again, a quote from Mike Rhodes: "The only constraint is your imagination." So with everything that we are doing, and not only campaign-wise, but also AI-wise, just sit back and think, okay, what are we doing? Is it boring? Do I have to do this manually a lot? Does it cost me a lot of time? Stuff like that. And I think if it is boring, repetitive, or extremely difficult, try an AI solution to automate that. With Vertex AI, there's like a really good possibility to learn that online, but I have to be honest, it's really difficult. And if you have some more questions about this one, or maybe have some examples where you want to discuss about, feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lars. So with that, we have some time for questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand and I will join you with the microphone. Questions? Okay. Oh, thank you. I'm not very technical. Just kidding. Okay, how to convince not so technical colleagues. So, how do you convince not so technical colleagues about the benefits of GPT? There's some skeptical people using the tool and consider it an easy way out. You just say bullshit.
Yeah, I'm not sure who it was, but I heard somebody make the statement earlier before. Just do it and show them the examples. You know, show them, hey, this is what I've built with AI or with ChatGPT, and compare it with how it could have looked if I've done it manually. And show them the results, show them how more efficient you are, etc., etc. I think that is the best way to convince other people to start using it as well.
Money.
Money, yeah, that's what it's all about. The easy way out part makes me think that somebody is maybe afraid of losing their job. You know, this is what we should do like this, and this is like the easy way out. It's not fair or something like that. And I think many people have said this before, but I don't see AI as a competitor. But the people who are using AI, those are the people that you are competing with. Because if you are not using AI, somebody else is doing it, and he will do it faster, more efficient, and that person will become better at your job than you if you're not using AI. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it.
What you said about the hours saved and putting it back into media spend
Yep.
is the truth. Tell people that they have an army of employees that work for each of their employees.
Yeah.
Human resources is a great way. Okay, next question. What are the coolest Google Ad scripts that you've implemented for your clients?
Besides this one, of course,
That's pretty
the
cool.
weather script. The coolest. Well, we've got like some basic scripts for reporting. Basic scripts that as soon as something is breaking down into the accounts, we immediately get a notification of that. The coolest, yeah, I think the coolest thing that we are building is actually with the AI agents, where you can really automate those different kind of tasks.
Have you gone another dimension where when you correlate, say, weather to sales, where you make regression curves based on previous years as well? Have
Yeah.
you gone, you could tell them a little bit about going one dimension deeper if you want, or we could just go to the next question. What would you
No,
like?
but with that, if you want to look further than just like the last 12 months, for example, I really would suggest to use BigQuery data, where the amount of data and the years back from the data is more in place than like, I'm not sure with GA4 data, you have 40 months, or with Search Console data, you have 60
GA4 is
months.
almost useless for the very far past.
Yeah.
Okay, so your next question. What do you suggest for PPC in iGaming or heavily regulated fields like healthcare in Turkey or health in any country, really?
Yeah.
How do you handle GPT? What do you suggest for PPC in iGaming or heavily regulated fields?
It's actually like a really difficult question because do you want me to make like a strategy for iGaming or heavily regulated fields? Of course, you have to yes, play by the rules. So if you are working in a niche where Google has really has some regulations like betting as well, it is what it is, and you could try to work your way around it. But yeah.
One good way to do it is to, well, first of all, if you have custom GPTs that you pay for in a paid account, they don't train OpenAI on that. So that's first, always have a paid account. Second, program GPTs with the rules for that jurisdiction.
Of course.
Like in America, it's FTC rules or HIPAA healthcare rules. So always make sure that the GPT is coded in the background with the rules. Next,
Same applies for the scripting. If you're not using Cursor but you are using ChatGPT,
yes,
make sure to send like the guidelines from Google about scripting so that the system knows what is able to being used.
And when the legal team says no to you, even though it's good, you take the big long terms of services from the tool you're using and put them through ChatGPT to summarize from the perspective of a very skeptical, cynical lawyer. And that works.
That's also an example where we have with writing a blog post. We create like 5 GPTs. Number 1 is a person who's really skeptical. Number 2 is a person who sees opportunities and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
And you could basically just connect your blog post and let it let the different GPTs, so the different persons, evaluate your blog post, and then in the end rewrite it based on what they were saying.
That's brilliant, especially considering that you could write a really long blog post and someone will come to you and completely misunderstand.
Yeah.
You say, that's not what I wrote. They said, I put it into ChatGPT. So now you have to make WordPress plugins that tell you what the summaries are at different lengths in ChatGPT so you know what you just really wrote.
Yeah, nice.
Next question. What are your favorite AI tools besides GPT and Vertex for campaign work? Lars?
I'm really, I used to like HeyGen for image and video stuff. I actually wrote down v0.dev a couple of days ago. A lot of people are actually talking about it. It's like something new. It's about video creation. I haven't tested it before, but it sounds really promising. The V2 from Google. I'm not sure who showed
Sora.
Sora. Yeah, I'm not sure who showed it earlier today, but it's also really amazing how the videos could look like nowadays. So yeah, I think I have to search in that area.
I have a question for you. What level of disclosure do you use with your clients for your AI usage? Mm-hmm. And do you encourage them to seek sign off from their legal team about your usage of AI on their behalf?
Yeah, so the funny thing is we have a couple of clients who are really, how do you say it, afraid to use AI, and they do have an own legal team, and we have to sign off like everything. So of course that makes it really difficult. One thing we did is we stopped, and if you are working in AC, that is something that I really would suggest. We stopped working by the hours. You know, it's not, in the old days we used to say, hey, if you want us to do this, it would cost you 10 hours. So this is the fee that you are paying us. Nowadays, it don't cost us 10 hours anymore, but we have like loads of hours in training AI or getting familiar with AI or building GPTs and stuff like that. So we could do it maybe in 2 hours, but it's not fair to be paid for 2 hours when we used to get paid for 10 hours. Hey, so we call that value-based pricing. And Marty, I think you are doing the same in your AC, I guess. Not yet.
Yes, but it begs the question: if you're a lawyer and you make a contract, say somebody's will or their divorce or their business acquisition, and you spend 20 hours making a contract, and then the next client comes and it only takes you a half hour to customize the contract, do you only charge them for a half hour? And the answer is no. Mm-hmm. You make the contract yourself and that pay for it and then charge everybody 5 hours or 6 hours. So really that comes down to what you can get and what you can reasonably ask for.
Yeah, what the product or the service that you are delivering, what is it worth?
And for large companies, you could just charge what it is fully worth. For small companies, you have to trace it back to the hours that you spend.
Yeah, and internally, of course, we are still working with hours because I have to know how busy everybody is and if there's room for one more client, for example. But externally, we're not talking about hours anymore.
Brilliant. Are there any more questions for our fine panelist here today? Then I will ask one question that they need to ask. Is that okay with you guys? So what have you found? This is a very nuts and bolts execution question, very basic question. So you can upload a spreadsheet, or you can select all, copy, clean it in a text editor, and then paste it into ChatGPT so it is not perceived as having to crunch a document. Have you learned anything about the difference between working with basic text versus uploading documents? Or do you have a preferred document type? Are you always in Google Docs? When you have things that aren't in your system, what's your favorite way to get the data and enter it?
I don't think that I'm in place to give that like a correct answer because I'm not doing it that much. But Perplexity, for example, if you want to analyze documents, I think Perplexity is way better than ChatGPT in that case. So if it's really about analyzing, I suggest to use Perplexity. With ChatGPT, actually, I use it way more to just upload the documents instead of copy paste the text. But I'm not sure if there's a difference in how the system looks at the data or not.
ChatGPT chokes when you start giving it large amounts of documents, which is why to use Perplexity.
Okay.
But one workaround for that is to select all on the spreadsheet, paste it into the form, any form field that cleans it, then paste it into ChatGPT, and it still sees it as the structured data, and there's no overhead in processing. So that's something to do.
There you go.
Good. Well, with that, thank you for the wonderful presentation. Please, a nice round of applause for our friend Lars.